She sat on the edge of the bed. Her hands were shaking. Tears were still in her eyes. It was her wedding night. But nothing felt like a dream. The silence in the room was heavy. The sound of her heartbeat was loud. She tried to smile. She tried to breathe. Would this night heal her pain, or make her story darker? Only time would tell. The sun was soft that morning. Golden light entered the small bedroom. The smell of roses still floated in the air. Her wedding dress lay folded on the chair, a memory of yesterday's joy. She opened her eyes slowly. Her heart was calm. Her lips carried a shy smile. This was the beginning of her new life. The day after her marriage. Downstairs the house was full of sound. Relatives were laughing. Children were running through the hall. The kitchen smelled of tea and fresh bread. Her mother-in-law's voice echoed. She was telling stories about her son's childhood. Everyone listened with warm eyes. The room was alive with happiness. She sat in front of the mirror. Her hair still smelled of jasmine oil. The earrings she wore were a gift from her mother. She touched them gently. Remembering the tears when she left her old home, she whispered to herself, "I will make this house my world." Her heart believed it fully. Downstairs her husband was already awake. He was serving tea to his uncles. His laughter was deep and warm. He looked different today, not just a groom, but a man carrying new responsibilities. She watched him from the stairs, her heart filled with respect, her eyes filled with hope. Everyone talked about the wedding, how beautiful the ceremony was, how happy the couple looked. Her father-in-law raised his hand. He said proudly, "My son has found his soulmate." The room clapped with joy. She felt her cheeks turn red. It was new to be praised this way. After breakfast, the women gathered in the living room. They asked her questions, how she felt, what she thought of her new family. Her voice was soft, her words simple. "I feel blessed." And she truly meant it. The afternoon was quiet. Her husband showed her the garden, a place he loved since childhood. The flowers were bright. The soil carried the scent of earth after rain. He told her stories, how he planted roses with his father, how he dreamed of building a small bench here. She listened carefully. Her heart tied itself to his words. Later that evening, the family gathered again. Music played in the background. Children clapped. The bride and groom were asked to dance. First she hesitated, but her husband held her hand. He whispered, "Don't be afraid. I am here." He smiled, and together they moved. Low steps, of laughter. The room glowed with love. The first night after the wedding was gone, but the warmth of the celebration still lived. Everyone carried stories. Every smile felt like a blessing. Her heart felt light. Her soul felt safe. She told herself again, "This is the life I always wanted." The next morning was calm. She woke up before everyone. The birds were singing outside. The air was cool. She walked quietly to the balcony. She saw the sunrise. She thought about her parents. She missed them deeply. But her heart whispered, "They gave me a new home. They gave me love." Her husband joined her. He placed a cup of tea in her hands. She looked at him with surprise. He laughed softly. "This is my duty now." They drank together in silence. The world felt peaceful. The future looked bright. Her smile grew wide. His eyes sparkled with care. The morning became a memory forever. Life in the new house was gentle. Her mother-in-law taught her recipes. Her sisters-in-law shared secrets. Her father-in-law blessed her daily. Her husband stayed close. He asked about her comfort. He cared about her every detail. It was love in simple actions. Love in daily life. At night they often sat together, talking about dreams, talking about children, talking about travels they wished to take. Their voices grew softer. Their hearts grew warmer. Every word became a promise. Every silence became trust. The bond was young, but it felt strong. Days passed with laughter. Festivals came with colors. Neighbors visited with gifts. The house became a place of light, and she felt like the center of it. Everyone's love wrapped around her. She was the new bride, but also a daughter now. The warmth was real. The joy was deep. Her husband often told her, "You are my best decision." She would lower her eyes. Her lips would hide a shy smile. But her heart would bloom like a flower. She believed his words fully. She trusted him completely. She felt safe in his shadow, safe in his laughter, safe in his care. The nights were long and gentle. Stars filled the sky. They would sit in the garden. He would tell her stories from his childhood. She would listen with dreamy eyes. Sometimes he would tease her. Sometimes he would hold her hand. The silence between them was sweet. The bond was growing stronger. Every day was a step toward forever. In those early weeks, life was like a song. Every verse carried happiness. Every pause carried hope. Every moment felt like a gift. The world seemed far away, and their love seemed endless. No shadow touched them. No crack was seen. Everything was whole. Everything was perfect. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. Life was flowing gently, and their bond grew stronger with every sunrise. She had learned his habits, the way he liked his tea, the way he folded his shirts, the way he smiled before falling asleep. Every small detail became special. Every small habit became precious. He had learned her secrets, the songs she hummed while cooking, the way she touched her hair when nervous, the sparkle in her eyes when she laughed. Every little thing about her stayed in his heart. Every little thing became love. Their bond was young, but it felt like it had existed for years. They were no longer two strangers. They were two souls moving together, two hearts beating in rhythm, two lives becoming one. Each evening brought peace. They would sit on the rooftop, the stars shining above them, the city lights glowing in the distance. He would talk about his dreams. She would listen with gentle eyes. She would share her wishes, and he would promise to fulfill them. One night he said softly, "I want to build a house for us. A house filled with laughter." Her eyes grew moist. She whispered, "As long as we are together, every place will be home." He held her hand tightly. That moment became a silent vow. They spent weekends exploring new places, walking in parks, visiting the marketplace, eating street food together. He laughed when she tried spicy snacks. She smiled when he bought her flowers. They found happiness in simple things. They found joy in ordinary moments. At family gatherings they stayed close. Her hand rested in his. His glance always searched for her. They shared quiet smiles, small whispers that only they could hear. People noticed, and everyone said, "This couple is made for each other." At night their conversations grew deeper. They talked about childhood memories. She told him about her old school, her favorite books, her secret dreams of becoming a teacher. He told her about his struggles, his fear of failure, his determination to never give up. Their voices carried honesty. Their silences carried trust. One evening, she was tired from housework. Her hands were sore. Her face was pale. He noticed at once. Without a word he took her hand. He massaged her fingers gently. He said softly, "You are not alone. I will always share your burdens." Tears filled her eyes, but her heart was calm. She knew she had found her partner in truth. They began to create traditions. Every Friday evening they lit a candle in the garden. They prayed together. They dreamed together. Every Sunday they cooked a meal side by side. She cut vegetables. He stirred the pot. They laughed when the food turned too salty. They clapped when it tasted perfect. These small rituals became their secret world. Her love for him was endless. She wrote small notes and hid them in his pockets. Sometimes he found them at work. Sometimes at night. The words were simple. "I love you. I miss you. You are my safe place." Every note made his heart beat faster. Every note deepened his bond with her. His love for her was constant. He never returned home empty-handed. Sometimes a chocolate, sometimes a rose, sometimes a simple smile. Every gift was small, but every gesture was priceless. She kept them all, inside a wooden box, a box she called Our Memories. The intimacy between them grew, not just physical, but emotional, spiritual. They shared secrets, they shared laughter, they shared tears. Every moment pulled them closer. Every heartbeat tied them stronger. One night she whispered, What if life tests us? He kissed her forehead and replied softly, then we will stand together. No matter what. Her heart melted. Her trust became unshakable. She believed him completely. She believed in their forever. They began to plan for the future, dreaming of children, arguing over baby names, laughing at the thought of who the child would look like. She wanted a daughter. He wanted a son. But both agreed. As long as the child carried their love, it would be perfect. Her laughter became his strength. His care became her shield. The bond was more than romance. It was friendship. It was partnership. It was two lives stitched into one fabric. A fabric that looked unbreakable. The family admired them. Friends envied them. Their home felt like a storybook. Every page filled with joy. Every chapter filled with love. Nothing seemed wrong. Nothing seemed broken. Everything was shining. Everything was whole. But life often hides shadows. Even in the brightest rooms. Even in the happiest hearts. The bond was pure. The love was deep. Yet fate was quietly writing something else. Something waiting behind the curtain. The days still looked bright. But shadows began to move quietly. First it was small. So small it felt invisible. But love sometimes hides the early signs. One evening she waited for him at dinner. The food was ready. The candles were lit. Her heart was eager. But the clock kept ticking. An hour passed. 2 hours passed. Her smile began to fade. When he finally arrived, he was tired. His eyes looked heavy. He said softly, "Work was too much today." He nodded. But something inside her whispered, he never stayed this late before. The next morning she tried to ignore it. She told herself he was honest. She told herself she must not doubt. But the thought stayed like a shadow. It followed her through the day. It whispered again at night. And though she smiled, her heart felt uneasy. Days later she noticed another change. His phone. Always by his side. Always face down on the table. He laughed less. Talked less. When she asked questions, his answers grew shorter. He said he was tired. He said he was busy. She believed him. But a soft ache began to grow. One afternoon her sister-in-law teased her. "Your husband is very popular at work." She laughed at first, but then she wondered, what does that mean? Her mind searched for answers. Her heart begged for peace. But the seed of doubt was already planted. At family gatherings she noticed small things. His eyes did not always search for her. His hand did not always reach for hers. He smiled, but the smile felt distant. He laughed, but the laughter felt forced. She told herself it was just stress. But deep inside, she knew something was shifting. One night she asked directly, "Is everything all right?" He looked surprised. Then he smiled gently and said, "Of course. Why do you ask?" She lowered her eyes. She whispered, "You feel far away sometimes." He touched her hand and promised, "I am here, always." She wanted to believe. She chose to believe. But her heart still trembled. The days passed slowly. She found herself watching him more, noticing every glance, every silence, every sigh. Her love was still strong, her trust still alive. But fear had entered quietly. And fear never leaves easily. One afternoon she discovered something small. A perfume on his shirt. Hers. Different. Sweet but unfamiliar. Her fingers froze. Her breath stopped. She wanted to ask. But she stayed silent. Her heart screamed. But her lips did not move. She folded the shirt away. And cried softly when no one was looking. The next day she tried harder. She cooked his favorite meal. She dressed in his favorite color. She smiled brighter than usual. Noticed. He thanked her. But his eyes still looked distant. And her soul still felt lonely. The garden that once brought peace now carried silence. He no longer shared long stories. She no longer laughed freely. Their evenings felt shorter. Their nights felt colder. The stars above them still shined. But their bond began to flicker. Times he grew irritable. Small mistakes made him angry. Her soft words did not calm him. Her tears did not stop him. He apologized afterward. But the wound remained. Her heart forgave him, but her soul began to fear the next time. Her family noticed the change. Her mother asked quietly on the phone, "Is everything okay, my child?" She replied quickly, "Yes, everything is fine." But her voice broke slightly, and her mother's heart knew something was not fine. The box of memories, once filled with his small gifts, began to gather dust. He brought fewer flowers, fewer chocolates, fewer notes. She waited, but they never came. The box sat silently in the corner, like a forgotten promise. Her nights grew longer. Sleep left her eyes. She stared at the ceiling, listening to his steady breathing beside her. She wondered, does he dream of me? Or does he dream of someone else? Even in his silence, she loved him. Even in her doubt, she trusted him. Even in her pain, she held his hand at family dinners. She stood by him when others asked questions. She protected his image, even while her own heart cracked. One evening a friend visited. She whispered a warning. "I saw him with someone. In the market." Her blood turned cold. Her hands trembled. Her face grew pale. "Fast. Are you sure?" The friend nodded. Her world spun. Her mind screamed. But her lips said softly, "There must be some mistake." That night she cried silently, facing the wall, her tears soaking the pillow, her heart beating painfully. He slept beside her, peacefully, unaware of the storm in her soul. The days continued. Her smile returned for the world. But inside she carried questions. Questions that burned. Questions that wounded. She told herself again and again, love is trust. Love is patience. But doubt kept whispering, something is breaking. Something is changing. The house still looked the same. The walls still held their photographs. The rooms still carried the smell of roses. But her heart no longer felt safe. It carried silence, carried questions. It carried a fear she could not erase. Her husband smiled less. His laughter was rare. He left early for work. He returned late, sometimes without reason, sometimes without words. The man she once knew now felt like a stranger who lived under the same roof. She tried to hold him close. She tried to make him laugh. She cooked his favorite dishes. She wore his favorite colors. But his eyes no longer shined for her. His words no longer carried warmth. His hand no longer reached for hers. At night she pretended to sleep. She listened to his quiet whispers, sometimes to his phone, sometimes to his own thoughts. The words were unclear, but the tone was soft, too secret. Her heart raced, her soul trembled. She wanted to ask, but fear sealed her lips. One morning she saw him leaving, dressed sharper than usual, perfume stronger than usual, his eyes glowing. But not for her. Her heart sank, her hands shook. She whispered to herself, "Where is he going?" But no answer came. Only silence followed. The family noticed the distance. Her mother-in-law asked gently, "Is something troubling you, my child?" She smiled weakly and said, "No, everything is fine." But her eyes betrayed her. Her silence revealed her. And the older woman sighed, knowing more than she was told. At family dinners he looked distracted. His phone buzzed quietly. He excused himself often. The warmth of his presence faded. The bond they once showed proudly now looked fragile, now looked hidden. Relatives exchanged glances. Whispers spread slowly. And her heart grew heavier. One evening she confronted him, her voice trembling, her hands shaking. "Fast. Is there someone else?" For a moment, his eyes widened. His lips pressed tightly. Then he smiled faintly and said, "No, it's just work." But his eyes told another story. And her heart felt the truth, even without words. She walked to the garden that night, the place where they once dreamed, the bench where they once laughed, the flowers they once cared for together. It all looked the same, but it felt different. The roses were still blooming. But her love felt like it was dying. Her tears fell on the soil. Her voice broke in silence. She whispered, Please. Don't let me lose you. The box of memories sat unopened. Dust covered the lid. The chocolates had melted long ago. The flowers had dried. The notes looked faded. She touched them gently. Her heart ached. Her soul cried. This was once love. This was once forever. Now it was a shadow of yesterday. The nights grew darker. Even with the lights on, the air felt colder. Even under warm blankets, she lay beside him. But the distance was endless. His body was near, but his soul was far away, and she felt lonelier than ever before. Her dreams turned restless. She dreamed of him walking away. She dreamed of empty rooms. She dreamed of silence. Each morning she woke with fear, her heart racing, her eyes wet, and the question never left her. Is love slipping away from me? One day she followed him quietly, her steps careful, her breath uneven. She watched from a distance. He entered a cafe. He sat at a corner table. Then, she saw someone else join him. Her world stopped. Her knees weakened. Her heart broke. The smile he gave that stranger was the smile she once owned. The smile she once believed was only hers. She turned away quickly. Her tears blurred her vision. Her breath became heavy. She wanted to scream. She wanted to collapse. But she walked back home, silent, shaking, broken, carrying a truth she could not deny. That evening he returned home, his face calm, his voice gentle, as if nothing had happened. He asked about dinner. He asked about her day. She smiled faintly. She replied softly. But inside she was crumbling. Her world was collapsing. Her heart was bleeding. She stared at him across the table, his lips moving, his eyes pretending. And she realized, this was not the man she married. This was not the love she dreamed of. This was someone else. Someone she no longer knew. The silence between them grew heavy. The distance felt permanent. The bond felt broken. Her trust felt shattered. And though she sat beside him, she felt 1,000 miles away, 1,000 years apart, as if they lived in two different worlds. That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to his steady breath beside her. She whispered softly, "This is not the end yet. But it is coming." Her heart pounded. Her eyes burned. Her soul knew the truth. Something was about to break. The morning looked normal. The sun was bright. Tea was warm. But her heart was restless. Her eyes carried questions. Her soul carried fear. Something inside her whispered, "Today, the truth will not hide anymore." She walked into the living room quietly. His jacket lay on the sofa. She reached into the pocket. Her fingers touched a folded paper. She pulled it out slowly. Her breath grew uneven. Her hands shook. She opened it, and her world collapsed. It was a hotel bill. 2 dinners. 2 glasses of wine. 1 room for the night. Her chest tightened. Her throat burned. Her vision blurred with tears. She whispered softly, "No, this cannot be true." She sat down on the sofa, her fingers gripping the paper, her heart pounding loudly, her mind screaming silently. Every memory of his late nights, every excuse of extra work, every smile that wasn't hers, all of it now had meaning, a painful meaning she never wanted to face. The door opened. He entered with calm steps. He looked at her. He smiled faintly. But her eyes were already filled with tears. Her hand held the paper tightly. Her voice cracked. "What is this?" He froze. His smile vanished. His face turned pale. He reached for the paper, but she pulled it back quickly. Her voice rose. "Tell me. What is this?" Her tears rolled down. Her heart broke louder with every second. For a moment, he stayed silent. Then he whispered, "It's nothing. Just work." Her voice turned sharp. "Work? At a hotel? With wine? With dinner for 2? With a room for the night?" Her cry echoed through the house. Her body trembled. Her soul shattered. He stepped closer. He tried to touch her hand, but she pushed him away. Her voice shook with anger. "Don't touch me. Don't lie to me." Her eyes searched his face. Her heart searched for honesty. But all she saw was guilt. All she felt was betrayal. Finally, his lips moved. He whispered, "I made a mistake." Her knees weakened. Her breath stopped. Her ears refused to believe. But the words pierced her like knives. She screamed softly, "No, you destroyed everything." She fell to the floor, her sobs filling the silence, her hands covering her face, her tears flowing endlessly. He stood above her, silent, but not broken enough, not guilty enough. His silence screamed louder than his words. Hours passed in heavy silence. She sat in the dark, her eyes swollen, her lips dry, her heart empty. The paper still lay on the floor, the cruel proof of betrayal, the cruel reminder of truth. She remembered the nights they planned their future, the vows they whispered under the stars, the promises of forever, now shattered, now burned, now meaningless. Her soul bled with every memory. Later that night she entered their room. He was sitting quietly, his head lowered, his hands trembling. She looked at him with hollow eyes. Her voice was soft, sharp. "Why?" He looked up slowly, his eyes wet, his lips shaking. "I was weak." Her heart sank deeper. Her chest tightened harder. She asked again, "Was it love?" He shook his head quickly. "No, it was nothing. It meant nothing." Her tears fell again. She whispered, "Then why does it feel like it destroyed everything?" The silence between them turned poisonous, the distance unfixable, the bond unrepairable. The room that once carried love, now carried only betrayal, now carried only pain. Years passed, but the wound stayed open. She looked at him with emptiness. He looked at her with guilt. The laughter never returned. The warmth never returned. Only shadows remained. Only silence remained. Then another truth arrived. Darker, more painful. She discovered missing money. The savings they once kept safe. The box that carried their dreams. Now half empty. She searched everywhere. She counted again and again. Her hands shook. Her tears returned. And when she confronted him, his silence was her answer. The betrayal was not just love. It was trust. It was safety. It was everything they built together. And now it was gone. Broken into pieces. Shattered into dust. That night, she stared at the ceiling once again. Her body beside his, but her soul far away. Her whisper broke the silence. "You have given me nothing but scars." He turned to her slowly. His lips trembled. "I'm sorry." But his sorry meant nothing. His sorry could not heal. His sorry could not erase. Her heart was already destroyed. She closed her eyes, but sleep never came. Only pain stayed with her. Only betrayal slept beside her. And deep inside her heart, a new thought began to grow. A thought darker than pain. A thought sharper than sorrow. The seed of revenge. The house was quiet. Too quiet. But her heart was louder than ever. Every beat felt heavy. Every breath felt broken. She was alive. But inside, she was dying. She sat in the dark. Her hands clutched her chest. Her body shook with silent sobs. Her tears refused to stop. Every corner of the house felt strange now. Every wall felt like it carried secrets. Every shadow whispered betrayal. Her mind screamed questions. Why did he do this? Was I not enough? Did my love mean nothing? But no answer came. Only the echo of her pain. Only the silence of his guilt. At night she lay awake, her back turned to him, her eyes open wide, her pillow wet with tears. She heard his steady breathing. She heard his calm sleep. And she wondered, how can he sleep while I am breaking? In the morning she looked at herself in the mirror, her eyes swollen, her skin pale, her lips trembling. She did not recognize the woman staring back. She whispered softly, "This is not me. This is not the bride I was." Her reflection gave her no comfort. Her reflection gave her only pain. Her family called, her mother's voice gentle. "How are you, my child?" She smiled through the phone. She lied softly, "I am fine. I am happy." But after the call ended, her body collapsed to the floor. Her sobs filled the room. Her truth drowned in her lies. Denial became her shield. She told herself, it was just a mistake. It will never happen again. He still loves me. But deep inside, she knew the wound was too deep. She knew the scar would never heal. She tried to find comfort in memories. The first walk in the garden, the first morning tea together, the first whispered promise. But every memory now burned her. Every smile now cut her. Every promise now mocked her. Love had turned into poison. Once deadly now. Her anger rose without warning. She shouted at him one evening, her voice sharp, her tears unstoppable. Why did you destroy us? He lowered his eyes. He whispered, I don't know. Her body shook with rage. Her heart screamed, that is not an answer. Sometimes she grew silent instead. Distant. She avoided his eyes. She avoided his touch. She avoided his words. Her silence was louder than screams. Her silence carried all the pain. Her silence carried all the betrayal. Her emotions were storms. One moment fire. The next moment ice. One moment rage. The next moment despair. She could not control them. She could not escape them. She was trapped in her own heart. Trapped in her own mind. Her friends noticed the change. One asked gently, are you okay? She forced a smile. She nodded quickly. Yes, I'm fine. But her trembling hands, her hollow eyes, her broken laughter, told another story. Nights became unbearable. She walked the halls alone, her footsteps echoing, her tears falling silently. She touched the walls. She touched the photographs. But nothing gave her peace. Nothing gave her hope. Her heart was bleeding too much. Her soul was screaming too loud. Sometimes she dreamed of running away, packing her bags, leaving everything behind, escaping the pain, escaping the betrayal. But then her heart stopped her. Her heart whispered, what if he still loves me? What if I can forgive him? And she stayed, trapped between leaving and holding on. Her denial grew heavier. She told herself stories. He chose me, not her. He will return to me. He will regret his mistake. But her heart knew the truth. He had already left. Even if his body stayed, his soul was no longer hers. One evening she sat in the garden alone. The roses bloomed brightly, but they mocked her now. She touched a petal gently. It was soft. It was fragile, just like her heart. And she whispered, even beauty can be destroyed. The neighbors whispered too. She heard them once. Something is wrong in that house. Her body froze. Her heart raced. Shame burned her cheeks. Fear gripped her soul. The world was watching. The world was guessing. And she was breaking silently behind closed doors. Her love turned into questions. Her trust turned into fear. Her joy turned into sorrow. Every piece of her life was changing. Every part of her soul was collapsing. She was no longer the woman she used to be. She was no longer the bride she once was. Denial finally cracked. One night she whispered in the dark, to herself, to her broken soul, it is over. He is not mine anymore. Her tears poured freely. Her chest shook violently. Her heart shattered loudly. The truth was clear now. And it hurt more than anything. She could not breathe. She could not rest. She could not forgive. Her pain was endless. Her sorrow was heavy. And yet, in the middle of that storm, a strange fire began to burn inside her. A whisper grew louder, thought darker. Her tears turned sharp. Her heart turned cold. And she realized, this pain will not kill me. This pain will change me. The night was heavy. The silence endless. Her body lay still beside him. But her mind was racing. Her heart was no longer breaking. It was changing. It was sharpening. The fire of pain was turning into something darker. She stared at the ceiling, her eyes wide, her tears dry now. A strange calmness filled her chest. The storm was still there, but its shape had changed. Her sorrow had become fuel. Her betrayal had become power. And deep inside her, a single whisper grew louder. Revenge. At first she resisted. Her soul trembled. Her hands shook. Could I really do it? Could I destroy him like he destroyed me? But the thought refused to leave. It returned again and again, every morning, every night, until it became her shadow, until it became her truth. She began to watch him closely, every step he took, every word he said, every lie he told. She noticed everything. She memorized everything. Her heart no longer searched for love, searched for weakness, searched for cracks, and she found many. He was careless now. He left his phone unlocked sometimes. He left his papers scattered. He left his excuses unfinished. She saw names. She saw numbers. She saw evidence. And each discovery cut her deeper. But it also made her stronger. It also made her colder. One day she whispered to herself in the mirror, "This is not about pain anymore. This is about balance. This is about justice." Her reflection looked back with sharp eyes. Her lips curled slightly. For the first time since the betrayal, she did not cry. She smiled. But it was not a smile of joy. It was a smile of revenge. Her planning began silently, step by step, thought by thought. She wrote nothing. She spoke nothing. She only thought, only remembered, only sharpened her ideas inside her mind. She studied his routines. When he left the house, when he returned, when he met her eyes, when he avoided them. She memorized it all. She created patterns. She marked his lies. She prepared quietly, like a hunter watching prey. The more she watched, the more careless he became. He believed she was broken. He believed she was weak. He believed she would never fight back. But he was wrong. Wrong. Because inside her, a new woman was being born. Not the bride, not the lover, but the avenger. Her first idea was simple: to expose him, to let the world see what he had done. But then she paused. Her heart whispered, "No, that will end too quickly. Pain must be slow. It must be deep." So she changed her plan. From exposure to destruction. She began saving money secretly. A little from the household, a little from her own side work. She hid it carefully, in places he would never search, under old books, inside forgotten boxes. She was preparing a secret weapon, a life that belonged only to her, a power he could not touch. She tested his loyalty quietly. She asked small questions. She watched his eyes. She listened to his answers. And every time he lied, her resolve grew stronger. Her fire burned brighter. Her revenge moved closer. One evening he returned late again. He smelled of perfume. Hers. He smiled nervously. He whispered excuses. And she nodded calmly. She did not scream this time. She did not cry. She simply whispered in her heart, "Good. Keep lying. It will make my revenge sweeter." The danger thrilled her. She felt alive again, not because of love, not because of trust, but because of the secret she carried. The secret of her revenge. It was dangerous, it was risky, but it was hers, and it gave her strength. She began to plan step 2. Contact allies, people who could help her silently. She reconnected with an old friend, someone who once studied law. She asked harmless questions. She gathered quiet knowledge. And every answer became a weapon. Every detail became a tool. At night she wrote scenarios in her mind. What if she left him ruined? What if she exposed his lies to family? What if she drained his money? What if she destroyed his reputation? She imagined it all. She tasted it in her thoughts. And each idea gave her a strange comfort. Each plan gave her hope. Twisted hope. But hope nonetheless. Her denial was gone now. Her pain was still there. But it no longer crushed her. It pushed her. It guided her. It sharpened her steps. She whispered in the dark one night, "You thought I would break. You thought I would beg. But I will rise. And when I rise, you will fall." The stars outside blinked quietly. The night carried her whispers. The house carried her secret fire. And he slept beside her unaware. Unaware that the woman he betrayed was no longer weak, was no longer his victim. She was becoming his greatest danger. The plan was not finished yet. It was still building, still forming. But the seed of revenge was no longer small. It was growing. It was alive. It was unstoppable. And soon, very soon, the first move would begin. The night of silence ended. The waiting was over. The fire inside her demanded action. Her heart no longer wanted only thoughts. It wanted results. It wanted justice. It wanted revenge. She began with small steps. Careful. Alan noticed. She took his phone one evening. When he left it charging, her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were sharp. She searched quickly, and there it was. Messages, secrets, lies written in plain words. Proof that could burn him completely. She forwarded them quietly to her own email, deleted every trace, placed the phone back exactly as it was, and smiled faintly. Her first weapon was ready. Her first move prepared. The next morning, she acted normal. She served breakfast. She smiled faintly. She even laughed at one of his jokes. And he believed it. He believed she was healing. He believed she was forgiving. But in truth, she was already striking from the shadows. Her second move came soon. She called his office quietly. A simple question to his manager. Is he working late tonight? The answer stabbed deeper. He hasn't been staying late at all. Her smile grew colder, her heart steadier. She now held another proof, another card in her hand. At evening, she looked at him across the table, her eyes calm, her lips soft, and she whispered gently, "So, how was work tonight?" He nodded quickly. He lied smoothly, but inside her heart, she laughed silently, because she already knew the truth. Her moves were dangerous. Each step carried risk. What if he found out? What if he checked her phone? What if he saw her gathering weapons against him? The thought made her body tremble, but instead of fear, thrilled her. The danger was her new companion. The risk was her new strength. Her third move was heavier. She reached out to his closest friend. Casual chat, casual tea meeting. But her questions were sharp. Her ears listened carefully. And slowly, the truth spilled. He was not only unfaithful, he was reckless with money. Gambling. Secrets darker than she had imagined. Her chest tightened. Her eyes burned. But her mind sharpened. She was no longer just hurt. She was armed with truth. She was armed with weapons. And she whispered to herself, one by one, "I will take everything from him." The first ripple began soon. He came home one evening, angry, confused. He slammed his phone on the table, his voice sharp. "Someone told my boss things about me." She looked at him with innocent eyes. "Oh, really?" Her lips hid a faint smile. Her heart beat faster. Her first strike had landed. The house grew tense. He walked like a storm. He searched for answers. But she remained calm. She remained silent. She remained untouchable. And inside her heart, she whispered, "This is only the beginning." Her moves continued, each one small, each one sharp. She whispered doubts into his family's ears. Subtle words, gentle tones, but heavy meanings. Soon his mother looked at him differently. Soon his brother questioned his loyalty. The ripples spread wider, and he never saw her hand behind it. But with every move, her fear also grew. At night she lay awake, her mind racing. What if he finds out? What if he discovers everything? What if he destroys me before I destroy him? Her chest tightened. Her breaths turned shallow. She lived between thrill and terror. One night he confronted her suddenly, his eyes sharp, his voice suspicious. "Have you been talking to someone?" Her body froze for a second, but then she smiled softly. She shook her head. She whispered gently, "No, why would I?" He searched her face, but found nothing, because her mask was perfect. Her mask was unbreakable. Still, the fear remained. She double-checked her phone. She deleted traces. She covered her tracks. She moved like a shadow, silent, invisible, but deadly. Her fourth move came with fire. She leaked one secret to the right person. A debt he owed. A name he feared. And soon, The phone calls began. The pressure mounted. His calm life crumbled piece by piece. And she watched silently, her eyes cold, her heart steady, her revenge alive. The consequences spread quickly. He grew restless. He shouted more. He drank more. He lost focus at work. He lost trust at home. The man who once betrayed her was now being betrayed by life itself, and she was the hand behind it all. But deep inside her, the fear whispered again. What if someone connects the dots? What if the truth comes out? Her hands trembled at night. Her chest tightened in silence. Her eyes scanned every shadow, every sound, every whisper. She was strong now, but she was also hunted by her own secret. The first move of revenge had landed. The ripples had spread. The storm had begun. And as she watched him fall, she knew one truth clearly. There was no turning back now. The house was darker than usual. The silence felt heavier. Every corner seemed to wait. Every wall seemed to watch. She had prepared everything. Fridito, every step. Her trap was ready. For days she had acted calm. For days she had smiled softly. For days she had hidden her fire. And he believed it. He believed she was healing. He believed she was forgiving. But inside her heart, she whispered, "Tonight, the mask will fall." She placed the papers on the table. Proof of his betrayal. Proof of his debts. Proof of his lies. Each one neatly stacked. Each one waiting for him. Like knives sharpened for war. Her phone buzzed. A message arrived. Her friend confirmed. "Yes. The family will be here. At 8. Her chest tightened. Her hands trembled slightly. This was it. No turning back. No more silence. No more denial. She looked at the clock. The ticking was louder than her heartbeat. Every second cut deeper. Every second brought her closer. Closer to the end. Closer to revenge. He walked into the room casually. He loosened his tie. He sighed heavily. He poured himself a drink. And smiled faintly. As if the world still belonged to him. As if nothing was wrong. She looked at him coldly. Her voice calm. "Sit down." He raised an eyebrow. "What's wrong?" Her lips curved slightly. "You'll see." He sat, half curious, half annoyed. She slid the papers toward him. His eyes fell on them. His face froze. His hand tightened around the glass. He whispered sharply, "Where did you get this?" Her voice was steady. "Does it matter?" His jaw clenched. His breath grew uneven. "You shouldn't have touched my things." Her eyes narrowed. "Your things. Or our life. That you destroyed." The silence grew sharp. The air heavy. His face darkened. He tried to stand. But she whispered coldly, "Don't. Sit down." Something in her tone froze him. Something in her eyes stopped him. For the first time, he felt she was not weak anymore. The doorbell rang. He turned quickly. "Who's that?" She smiled faintly. "Guests." He frowned. "What guests?" She whispered softly, "You'll see." The door opened. Voices filled the house. His family stepped inside. His mother. His brother. His cousin. All of them walked in quietly. All of them looked curious. All of them looked at him. His body stiffened. His lips trembled. He turned to her. "What have you done?" Her eyes burned cold. "What you deserve." She guided them to the table. She placed the papers in the center. She whispered calmly, "Tonight, everyone deserves the truth." His face turned pale. His hands shook. His drink spilled slightly. He whispered angrily, "Stop this. Right now." She looked at him. Her eyes sharp as glass. Her voice cutting. "Stop. You never stopped when you betrayed me. You never stopped when you lied. You never stopped when you destroyed everything we built." His mother gasped. His brother frowned deeply. Questions filled the air. "What is this about? Why are we here?" She pushed the papers closer. "Read." Hands reached for the papers. They scanned quickly. Shock spread across their faces. Debt numbers. Total bills. Gambling notes. Every page screamed betrayal. Every page burned his name. He stood suddenly, his voice loud. This means nothing. These are lies. But his brother slammed the table. Enough. We know what this is. His mother's tears fell softly, her voice broken. How could you? He turned to her, his eyes wild, his voice sharp. You did this. You planned this. Her lips curved slightly. Yes. Her whisper was calm. Her whisper was deadly. I gave you back what you gave me. The room burned with silence, every eye on him, every heart heavy, and he realized, for the first time, he was trapped in her revenge, trapped in her truth. But she was not finished yet. She leaned forward slowly, her voice sharp, her words cutting. This is only the beginning. The room was fire. Every breath burned, every silence cut deeper. He stood trembling, his family staring at him. And she sat calm, unbroken. His mother whispered softly, "Tell me it's not true." His brother shouted, "Answer her. Now." But his lips shook, his eyes darted, and his silence screamed louder than words. She leaned forward slowly, her voice sharp as a blade. "Say it. Say the truth." In front of them. He slammed the table, his voice cracked. "Enough. I don't owe anyone an explanation." She smiled faintly. "Oh, but you do. You owe me. You owe them. You owe everyone you betrayed." His fists clenched, his body shook. "You trapped me," she whispered coldly. "No, you trapped yourself. With your lies." His brother threw the papers at him. "You gambled the savings. You betrayed her. You shamed us all." His mother cried softly, her hands covering her face, her tears cutting deeper than any words. He turned to her sharply, his voice desperate. "What do you want from me?" She looked into his eyes, her words slow, her tone final. "Everything." The silence froze. Her family gasped softly. He stepped back. "What?" She stood now, her eyes burning, her body steady, her voice rising. "I want you ruined. The way you ruined me. I want you empty. The way you left me empty." His voice broke. "You wouldn't." She leaned closer, her whisper cut like glass. "I already did." He staggered. "What have you done?" She lifted her phone slowly, pressed one button, and a recording played. His voice, his words. His confessions to another woman, his promises, his lies, echoing through the room like knives. His family froze. His mother dropped her hands. Her tears turned into rage. "You destroyed your marriage. You destroyed this house." His brother's fists clenched. "You disgust me." He shouted loudly. "This is not fair. This is not justice." She looked at him coldly. "This is the only justice you left me." He threw the glass against the wall. It shattered loudly, but she did not flinch. She did not move. Her eyes were locked on him, her voice cutting through the noise. "You thought I was weak. You thought I would stay silent. But tonight, everyone knows who you truly are." He stepped closer suddenly, his eyes wild, his breath heavy. "You'll regret this." Her lips curved slightly. "No, I'll heal from this. You'll live in it." The tension thickened. The room shook with silence. Then his mother stood, her voice shaking. "Leave. You don't belong here anymore." He turned to her. "Mother, please." But she turned her face away, her voice sharp. "Go." His brother stepped forward, his voice deep. "If you don't walk out, I'll throw you out." His body collapsed slightly, his strength drained, his lies exposed. His family turned against him, his world collapsing piece by piece. He turned back to her, his voice hollow. "You destroyed me." Her eyes burned, her words final. "No, you destroyed yourself. I only showed them the truth." He staggered to the door, step heavier, each breath broken. He paused at the exit. He looked back once, his eyes filled with anger, his lips trembling. "This isn't over." But she whispered coldly. "For you, It just ended. The door slammed. The house fell into silence. His family looked at her, their faces torn between sorrow and relief. She stood still, her chest rising slowly, her eyes wet but steady. She had done it. She had struck the final blow. Her mother-in-law stepped closer, her voice soft. "You are stronger than I ever knew." Her brother-in-law nodded silently. "We'll stand with you." But she only whispered, "No, I stand alone now." The night grew colder, the silence heavier, but inside her, a strange calmness bloomed. The revenge was complete. The truth was out, and he was gone. The door had closed. The echo still hung in the air. She stood frozen, her chest heavy, her mind racing. The house no longer felt the same. It was quiet, too quiet. His mother sat slowly, her hands trembling, her eyes red, her voice broken. "All these years, and I never knew." Her brother clenched his jaw. "He hid it well, too well." She whispered softly, "No, he didn't hide it. I just refused to see." The words cut her own heart. Her tears blurred her vision. But she held herself steady. She couldn't break now, not after everything. The family whispered among themselves. Shock hung heavy in their voices. Regret filled their eyes. But she stayed apart, silent, distant. She had played her role. The truth was out. And now, the silence of consequences began. She walked to the window. The night looked endless. The moon cold, the stars too far away. Her reflection stared back. A woman she barely recognized. Not weak, not naive, but hardened, sharp, unshakable. Her phone buzzed. Another message came. From a number she had once trusted. The same woman from the recordings. A short text. "He's here. He's broken." Her hands tightened around the phone. Her lips pressed together. So it was true. He had run to her. The same woman he betrayed her with. The circle was complete. She whispered coldly, "Good. Let him taste his own ruin." Behind her, his mother's voice rose softly. "What will you do now?" She turned slowly, her eyes empty, her voice quiet but sharp. "Now, I begin again." The family exchanged glances. None dared to question. None dared to interfere. They saw the fire in her. They saw the finality in her. They knew her life was no longer tied to his. The silence stretched. Then his brother whispered, "You destroyed him tonight." Her lips curved faintly. "No, he destroyed himself. I just gave the world the mirror." His mother wept softly, her shoulders shaking, her voice trembling. "He is my son, but I cannot forgive him." Her chest tightened. She almost reached out, but then stopped. Her heart whispered, "Mercy is not mine to give." The night grew colder. The guests left one by one. The house emptied. Echoes faded. And she stood alone again, surrounded by silence, surrounded by shadows, but stronger than she had ever been. She walked to the table. The papers still scattered. The proof of everything. She gathered them slowly, one by one, and set them on fire. The flames rose quickly. The smoke curled into the air. The ashes fell softly, like the end of a chapter, like the burial of a corpse. She whispered into the fire, "You no longer own me." Her voice cracked slightly, but her eyes stayed dry. She had cried enough. Now there was only silence, only freedom, only the cold weight of victory. Hours passed. The house was still. She walked through every room, touched every wall. Every memory tried to rise. Every shadow tried to speak. But she silenced them all. She was not that woman anymore. Not the weak wife. Not the blind believer. She was something else now. Something sharper. Something unbroken. The dawn crept slowly. Light spilled through the window. She stood watching. Her heart heavy. Her soul tired. But her spine straight. Her eyes clear. The night was gone. The revenge complete. The man destroyed. The truth revealed. And her story reborn. She whispered softly, "To remember is pain." She paused, her voice firmer now. To forget is freedom. She walked away from the window, her steps slow but steady, her breath deep, her mind quiet, the echoes of the night fading behind her. The weight of betrayal finally lifted, replaced by something colder, something sharper, peace. But a peace forged in fire. She opened the front door. The world outside was bright. Children laughed somewhere far away. Birds sang faintly. Life continued, unaffected, unbroken, unaware of the storm that had ended here. She stepped outside. The cool air touched her face. For the first time in months, she breathed without choking. She walked without trembling. She stood without fear. Her lips curved faintly. Not joy, not sorrow, but something in between. Quiet victory, a silent survival. Her whisper floated into the morning air. I am free. The house was quiet again. The war was over. But the silence felt different now. Not heavy, not suffocating, just empty. She sat in the living room. The ashes of the burned papers gone. The smell of smoke faded. Only her heartbeat remained. Steady rhythm. Strange, she whispered to herself. So this is freedom. But the words carried weight. Not joy, not pain, something in between. Like a scar that no longer bleeds, but still aches when touched. Her days shifted slowly. Morning light felt new. Coffee tasted sharper. The world outside moved on. And she learned to walk again. Not as a wife, not as a victim, but as a woman alone. A woman rebuilt. Sometimes she woke in the night, her chest heavy, her ears straining, as if waiting for his footsteps. But the halls stayed quiet. The door stayed shut. And then she remembered. He was gone. Gone from her house. Gone from her life. Gone from her heart. Yet the memories remained. Like ghosts in the walls. Like shadows in the corners. The laughter they once shared. The promises he once made. All turned into knives. But still sharp enough to cut when remembered. She told herself. Revenge is done. The truth is out. But another whisper followed. Then why does it still hurt? Years passed. Weeks folded into each other. She went back to work. She smiled politely. She greeted neighbors. She cooked her meals. Life looked normal again. But inside, she was still counting scars. His family kept their distance. Ashamed. Broken. Silent. He called sometimes. Asked how she was. But she answered shortly. Politely. Never with warmth. She had no space for them now. They had once loved him blindly. And she could never forget that. The woman from the recordings reached out once. A simple message. I'm sorry. But she deleted it without reply. Sorry was a word too small. Too weak. Too late. Nights were the hardest. When the house grew too still. When the silence pressed against her chest. When the old loneliness tried to return. She fought it quietly. She read books. She played music. She whispered to herself. I chose this. I survived this. But some nights, her pillow was still wet by morning. And yet, she never regretted it. Once, not for a second. Because revenge gave her what silence could not. Gave her voice back. Gave her power back. It gave her freedom back. But freedom carried weight. Carried emptiness. Carried echoes. Because revenge does not heal. It only clears the wound. Leaves it open. And forces you to live with it. One evening, she stood at the mirror. She looked at her reflection long. The woman staring back was not the same. Her eyes sharper. Her mouth firmer. Her shoulders straighter. She whispered, You survived. And for the first time, her reflection whispered back, Yes. Peace did not come with smiles. Peace came with acceptance. Peace came with silence. Peace came slowly, like dawn creeping after a long storm. And she let it come, bit by bit, breath by breath, day by day. Months passed. The scars faded. Gone. Never gone. But lighter. Easier to carry. She no longer trembled when she heard his name. She no longer broke when she passed the places they once went. She no longer cried when she saw couples laughing together. She only whispered to herself, That's their story. Mine is different. One night, Under the same moon that once watched her pain, she sat outside, the wind cool, the stars quiet, and she reflected. Some revenge satisfies. Some leaves scars. Mine did both. Her voice cracked, but her eyes stayed calm. I destroyed him. But I also destroyed pieces of myself. She closed her eyes slowly, breathed deeply, and whispered, "But maybe. That's the price of freedom." The night carried her words away. The silence did not argue, the stars did not answer. But her heart felt lighter, her soul felt quieter, her story felt finished. She stood slowly, walked back into the house, and whispered her final words. Not to him, not to them, but to herself. I will carry the scars, but I will live. Every story leaves something behind. Sometimes a lesson, sometimes a scar, sometimes a quiet strength we didn't know we carried. If this journey touched your heart, share your thoughts below. Your voice matters, your experiences matter. And you never know who might find comfort in your words. Stories like this remind us we're not alone. We grow, we heal, we move forward. Together, stay connected for more emotional journeys, and let your heart guide you to the stories waiting ahead.